With a chance to take a 3-1 series lead in their best of 7, the Rangers pull a complete no-show, fall to the Devils 3-1, and are now tied 2-2 in the best of 7 series. Just an inexcusably flat performance in this game from the Rangers. You do have to give some credit to the Devils for playing a strong defensive team, but the Rangers just didn't want to work for it tonight, and you guys see the result. We're going to basically have an episode here where we recap everything that happened and call out a lot of players on this team, particularly the top 6. Gonna pretty much just go one by one there. Also, gonna break down the goals that were scored in this game and explain why Igor Shesterkin deserved a heck of a lot better from his New York Ranger teammates. All that and more on today's episode of Locked On New York Rangers. Welcome back, Blue Shirts fans, to episode number 813 of the Locked On New York Rangers podcast. I'm your host, John Chick. Just want to thank you guys, as always, for making Locked On New York Rangers your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, and today's episode of Locked On New York Rangers is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. And so, yeah, there's a ton to break down from this game. Obviously, it was just a tremendously disappointing night. You've got a chance to respond to a loss for the first time in the postseason. You know, you've got a roster now that's got multiple Stanley Cup champions on it. You've got this Ranger team that appeared to be battle-hardened from the run that they had in last year's playoffs. They faced some adversity there, always came through it. And look, this series is far from over. It's now a best of 3, and anything can still happen. The story is still being written, but still, you let a golden opportunity like this slip through your fingers. Game 3, you know, I could kind of excuse it. It was just a really hard-fought, back-and-forth hockey game that ends up in overtime. Overtime, you know, I don't want to call it a complete coin toss because obviously the pressure's on and you got to play well and you got to find a way to get the puck in the net before they get one in your net. But, you know, overall, that was a very evenly played 50-50 game. This one was just bad. I mean, the Rangers were honestly probably lucky to be within a goal for pretty much the entire night and then even briefly tied in the third period. They didn't really do anything to earn this victory here tonight. And even with, you know, less than 2 minutes left, you've got a situation where the goalie's pulled and you're one good chance away from getting the game-tying goal. Not only did the game-tying goal never happen, the good chance never happened either. But, you know, I'm just scratching the surface here. I don't want to lose focus. I do want to start today's episode by talking about Igor Shesterkin and why the Ranger netminder deserved a heck of a lot better from his New York Ranger teammates. So, first of all, a stat. This is a stat that I continue to go back to. It's a stat that I was kind of throwing around toward the end of the regular season when I was illustrating the fact that Igor Shesterkin has been playing his best hockey of the entire season. You know, he's really been good down the stretch, and he's been great in the playoffs as well. Coming into tonight, 11 of 13 games in which Igor Shesterkin, 11 of his last 13 games in which Igor allowed 2 goals or fewer. That is now 12 times in his last 14 games, including every single game of the playoffs here. That's a goalie that's, you know, we can't get too far ahead of ourselves, especially after the way these last 2 games have gone. But, I mean, that's a situation where you're already starting to put together like a Conn Smythe kind of a resume. And again, we are light years away from having a Conn Smythe discussion. But you get the point that I'm making here. Igor Shesterkin playing like a playoff MVP right now, and his teammates are pretty much dropping the ball and letting him down. Now, Igor Shesterkin late in this game, did he give up a soft goal? Yes, absolutely. That goal by Siegenthaler, you know, it's 1-1 in the third period, approaching the midway point of the third period. You get a cross-ice pass. Siegenthaler shoots, and it just got through Igor, got under his glove there, seemed to deflect off the post. I definitely heard some iron, goes into the net. Devils are up 2-1. But when you've got a Ranger team that's as star-studded as this one is, a Ranger, you know, top 6 especially, but really the entire lineup, as far as, you know, guys that can produce offense, Igor Shesterkin deserves better than, you know, in some ways being the GOAT. I mean, I don't think too many Ranger fans are blaming Igor for this, but in some ways, I'm sure Igor would put this on himself because that's just the kind of guy he is. He'll think this is his fault because he allowed a soft goal near the end of the game. Should have never come to that. You know, the Rangers, there's too much talent here for them to, you know, go into New Jersey, score 10 goals. I know one was an empty netter, but whatever. We'll call it 9 goals. And then come home and score only 2 goals against a guy that, you know, is the Devils' backup goalie. That's what he's been for the entire season. And take nothing away from Schmid. He was very good in this game, made the saves when he had to. Rangers didn't make it difficult enough for him. And the Rangers, the big thing here, the thing that probably annoys me more than anything about this game is the Rangers just did not pick up their goalie. You know, you have to find a way to score more than 2 goals in 2 home games. The Rangers, played a decent game in Game 3. It was back and forth. This was utter garbage by this team, and Igor Shesterkin deserves better than this. Igor Shesterkin should not take a loss because he allows 1 soft goal in 4 games in the series. Try to think of the last time, playoffs or regular season, that Igor Shesterkin has allowed a soft goal down the stretch here. I mean, I can't even come up with anything. Like, I don't remember seeing it happen in the final month of the season, and certainly not in any of these 4 playoff games, other than the Siegenthaler goal in this game here. And did the Rangers do anything after that? When Siegenthaler scored, there's still 11:38 to go in this game, right? So, I mean, you still have a chance, obviously. You're 1 goal away. You're 1 good opportunity away from maybe, tying this game. Maybe you win it in regulation. Maybe it goes into overtime. At least you have a chance there. But there's 11:38 to go. Siegenthaler gives the Devils a 2-1 lead. Does anyone remember the Rangers creating anything that even resembled a decent scoring opportunity after this goal was allowed in? I can't remember one. There was one situation where there's a little bit of a scramble in front of the Devils' net, but nothing really happened there. The Rangers ended up pulling their goalie with exactly 2 minutes to go and an offensive zone faceoff forthcoming. And I've talked about this on the podcast before. I do think there's times where Gallant and other coaches in this league, there's times where they're only down by 1 goal, and I think they pull their goalie at least a little bit too early. There's times where you'll see a coach pull his goalie with like 2:30 left, and then 15 seconds later you give up an empty netter, and now you're down by 2 goals, and you still had 2:15 to potentially score the game-tying goal. And I always hate when that happens. But in this case, and I said this, I was watching this game with my wife and my dad who's visiting right now. I said I would pull the goalie right now because they haven't done anything 5v5 for this entire game. Nothing at all, save for the Trocheck goal at the start of the 3rd period. Very few scoring opportunities to speak of, just nothing, not making life difficult enough on Schmidt. And again, he was good, but I don't think the Rangers made things difficult enough for him. And, you haven't done anything 5v5 all net, so what the heck? You might as well just pull the goalie now with a full 2 minutes to go. Maybe you create an opportunity playing 6-on-5. And if you give up an empty netter, fairly soon after pulling the goalie, hey, at this point, the way this game unfolded, that was a risk that I was at least willing to take. And of course, that's what the Rangers did. They pulled the goalie. Do the Rangers create anything, even once again, resembling a good, even decent scoring chance? Was there ever a minute in the final an instance, in the final 2 minutes of this game, when the goalie was pulled, that you guys were watching this game and you thought, there it is. There's our chance. There's our game-tying goal. It's on the way. It's going to happen. It did not happen once for me. And honestly, they could have played a whole nother period. I'm not sure the Rangers would have created a good scoring chance. They certainly didn't do it for the majority of this night. Obviously Trocheck got the game-tying goal early in the 3rd period, but, that was fool's gold. And it's great that they tied the game and came back, and you're thinking that might, get them going a little bit. But the reality is there was never an instance in this game. There was never a stretch of play in this game that was longer than maybe like 2 or 3 minutes where the Rangers outplayed the Devils, where the Rangers outworked the Devils. It just did not happen. The Devils were basically skating circles around the Rangers, much in the same way the Rangers did to the Devils in the first 2 games in New Jersey. Obviously, this game was a little bit closer on the scoreboard, but the Devils clearly had the better of play for this entire game. And the Rangers, I think they need to take a look in the mirror, make sure they regroup, and make sure they don't have a repeat of what was just an awful performance in this game 4 here tonight, with a chance to take a 3-1 series lead. We're going to keep everything rolling in just a second. I mentioned a second ago in the intro that we're basically going to do like a mini call-out of the top 6 for the Rangers. I mean, there's blame to go around all over the place. You'd be hard-pressed to find a lot of Rangers that played well in this game. Maybe we'll talk about that too. We'll try to find Rangers that actually played well. But the big thing I want to do is talk about the top 6 and talk about how, they just didn't get the job done. And we will do that in just a second here, do a whole bunch of other stuff as well. But first, we got to let everybody know that today's episode of Locked On New York Rangers is brought to you by Gametime. Buying tickets to your favorite events should not be stressful. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for all the fun that you're about to have. Gametime is the place for the last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price, If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. Get images of your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps and you're all set. Tickets sent directly to your phone so you never have to dig through your email. Snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, we just want to thank you guys, as always, for making Locked On New York Rangers your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. And so, as I mentioned just a second ago, there's plenty of blame to go around. The Rangers just did not play well at all in this game, which we've very clearly established in the first 10 or so minutes of this episode, however long it's been here. But the top 6 to me really kind of jump off the page, and certainly not in a positive way for the Rangers. I mean, just lethargic play. Nobody could find that extra gear. Everybody was settling for low percentage shots. That's something that Steve Valiquette talked about during the second intermission, and I thought he hit the nail on the head with that. Not creating any traffic in front, no deflections to speak of. You had passes that, either completely misfired. There's some really bad passes by the Rangers tonight. There were instances where they were overskating the puck and not coming away with possession of the puck when they should have. Didn't win any 50-50 pucks on this entire night, and just not playing well. And we're going to break it down here. I'm going to do a mini ranking in the middle of this episode. We do ranking episodes every now and then. Sometimes that's the whole episode here on Locked On New York Rangers, but we're going to do it right here in the middle of the episode. I'm going to rank the top 6 forwards from worst performance tonight to best performance tonight. Let's see if we can find anything positive from the top 6 Ranger forwards. And I don't like doing this. I don't take any joy in this. I like this team. I think it's a character team. They're a very easy team to root for, but this was just not New York Ranger hockey. And I think, again, they have to take a look in the mirror and, think about what they want to do in the next game and how they want this series to go, because this is just not going to cut it. If they play like this the rest of the series, they won't win again. I really don't think that they will. All the Igor Shesterkin magic in the world is not going to save them if they play as lethargic as they did in this game the rest of the series. But again, let's go ahead with the ranking here. Number 6 in the top 6 Ranger forwards. I'm going to say Chris Kreider. He was a total ghost in this game. Did he possess the puck once in this game? I don't remember a single time where Chris Kreider's name was called. I don't remember seeing him skate with the puck a single time. I don't remember seeing him even really get close on deflections. There might have been one Adam Fox shot on one of the power plays where he was at least in position, but was not able to deflect it or do anything, screen the goalie, anything along those lines. Kreider was an absolute menace in games 1 and 2. What the heck happened to that? And in some ways, and I hate saying this, but it's kind of the return of the Chris Kreider that we've always gotten. And I'm a big Kreider fan. I think there's a very good chance when it's all said and done, you'll see his number go into the rafters for the longevity and everything that he's meant to this team. But yeah, I mean, just too much Jekyll and Hyde through the course of his career. If there's one knock on him, that's it, the inconsistency. And he just, again, was a complete ghost in this game. I'm putting him at number 6. Number 5, we're ranking from worst performance to best performance, if there's any such thing as the best performance from the top 6 Ranger forwards. Number 5, I'm going to go Artemi Panarin. Panarin was just not good at all in this game. I'm sorry. He looked like he was primed to have a good playoff run this year. After the first 2 games, he seemed to be in a good place mentally, was collecting some assists at least, still hasn't scored a goal, but, he was involved in everything and was looking dangerous pretty much every time he had the puck in the first 2 games. And, a little bit of that in game 3, not quite as profound, but I thought he was at least okay in game 3. But there was, and I tweeted this as well, in this game, I swear, this must have happened, I was going to say 7 times. I'm exaggerating a little bit there to make the point. This must have happened at least 4 times, I would say, though. Bare minimum 4 times, where Artemi Panarin just made a blind pass to absolutely no one. The same play kept happening. Somebody would move the puck out of the Ranger zone into the neutral zone. Panarin would be along the boards in the neutral zone, kind of around the red line area, maybe a little bit shy of the red line. And Panarin would just turn and just whip the puck across the rink to the other side of the neutral zone to absolutely no one. I guess maybe to the New Jersey Devil defenseman. there are a couple times where there was at least a Ranger in the vicinity, but it's the definition of just a complete hope play. Even if you complete that pass, which the odds are very much against it, even if you complete that pass, you've got, you've got maybe Tarasenko over there, and he's now got the puck in the neutral zone. It's not like completing this pass sets up like a grade A scoring opportunity. He's just whipping the puck into the middle of from one side of the neutral zone to the other, and doing so blindly and in a way that's just turning the puck over for no good reason. And again, even if you complete the pass, there's so little to even gain from it. I don't know why he kept doing this. I hope there's no more of this the rest of the series. Can't be going for those hope plays, especially in the playoffs. Let's see. Mika Zibanejad, I'm going to put him at number 4. Mika was, not good in this game, and he's had certainly kind of a quiet series here. Won only 36% of his faceoffs in this game. Only one shot on goal. Only one shot on goal for Mika Zibanejad. And I think it's time to put him back into the left side on the power play. I don't want him in the bumper anymore. The power play has scuffled these last couple of games. It was another 0 for tonight. They went 0 for 3 on the man advantage. Mika Zibanejad needs to be shooting the puck more, and one way that you make that happen is you put him back on the left side on the top power play unit. And I don't want them to over-rely on the Mika Zibanejad one-timer because we've seen that at times this season as well. But start feeding Mika and tell him to shoot the puck. Mika Zibanejad should not be going through a playoff game having only one shot on goal at the end of the night. Just invisible. Couldn't win a face-off, obviously. And his passing wasn't very good in this game. Just kind of a nothing performance for Mika Zibanejad. Number 3, I'll go with Tarasenko. I would say something about Tarasenko here, but I don't remember. It's kind of the same thing with Kreider. I don't remember his name being called a single time. I don't remember Tarasenko possessing the puck for any long amount of time. I don't remember him creating a scoring opportunity. I mean, it's possible. Maybe there was one and I forgot about it, but not really a whole lot of anything going on with Tarasenko. I mean, he did have 3 shots on goal, which, by the way, was tied for the Ranger team lead with Patrick Kane. So not a lot of shooting from the Ranger top guns in this game. And speaking of Patrick Kane, I'll put him at number 2. Kane, at least every once in a while in this game, I thought he made a decent pass. I thought he showed some burst every once in a while, but this was certainly not the Showtime Patrick Kane that we got in Game 2 of this series when he just basically took over. So not a good night for him. And number 1, as far as the Ranger top 6 forwards, I'm going to go with Vincent Trocheck. Obviously, he scored the goal that got the Rangers back into the game, tied the game at early in the third period there. Should have been a big moment that kind of ignited the Rangers and maybe even carried them through to the victory. But the Rangers right after the Trocheck goal, I thought they got a nice little burst, but it fizzled out quickly. It only lasted for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then it went back to kind of being a stalemate, a defensive struggle, and the Devils eventually took over, and they got that kind of fluky goal that Igor should have stopped. But again, I am not going to put this on Igor Shesterkin at all. It's the first soft goal he's given up in weeks, and he should be getting more support from this star-studded Ranger lineup, and he's just not right now. Trocheck kind of by default, I think, was the Ranger top forward in this game. Again, he scored the goal, so that's something. It's more than anybody else did in the top 6. And I thought, again, he skated pretty well. I mentioned in our last episode after Game 3 to keep an eye on Trocheck for this game. He at least scored the goal, but again, the Ranger forwards, especially the top 6, certainly just not getting the job done here. If anybody thinks that I'm being too hard here, being too harsh on these top 6 Ranger players, the forwards, please let me know. If I missed something, if maybe one of these guys had a better game than I'm giving them credit for, let me know. I mean, the game did just end, and I think all of us Ranger fans right now we're feeling it. It's 2-2 now. I don't think the fact that this series is 2-2 is really all that surprising. I don't think anybody really would have been surprised if I told you that after 4 games it would be 2-2. But how we got here is pretty shocking. I mean, the road team has won every game, and the Rangers start this series by winning 2 straight games by a final score of 5-1, come home and lose both games, one in overtime and one here. Another close game on the scoreboard, but another game where the Rangers just did not play well at all, not in the slightest. My dad, I mentioned he was visiting for this game. He's here for a couple days, but he said, we were watching this game, and he said, I wish everyone was working as hard as Jimmy Vesey. And he's not wrong about that. Jimmy Vesey, I thought, the little bit of ice time that he had, he was busting his tail and he was skating very hard in this game, and that's more than can be said for a lot of the players on the New York Rangers, particularly those guys in the top 6. We're going to keep everything rolling in just a second here. I want to go ahead and basically just talk about some other things that went wrong for the Rangers in this game and just share some final thoughts as this now becomes a best of 3 and the Rangers go back on the road to face the Devils in Game 7. And, of course, that game will occur on Wednesday night. I don't have the start time in front of me, but I don't even know if it's been announced yet, but I'm sure we can all collectively look that up, and I'm sure we'll all be ready to go when the Rangers play for Game 5. I hope the same can be said about the players, but we're going to get to all that stuff in just a second. All right, so a couple other closing thoughts here, other issues that the Rangers had in this game. For starters, a little bit of bad luck here. There was an instance early in the game where the Rangers had a pretty good chance to score. It's still scoreless at this point, just the first couple of minutes here. Yeah, the first 2 minutes or so. So you have Adam Fox taking a shot from the blue line. Alexis Lafreniere is there. He gets a little bit of a redirection. The save is made. It gets behind the goalie. And unfortunately, Siegenthaler is able to find the puck before any of the Rangers can. And I'm not sure if Siegenthaler was even trying to pass here or if his mindset was just, get this thing out of here, and if I take an icing, I take an icing. At least the Rangers don't score. I'm not sure. You'd have to ask him. He might have known he had Jack Hughes in the open ice, but he got it out of there quickly. Hughes goes in on a breakaway, makes a great move on the doorstep, and beats Igor Shesterkin to make it 1-0. So potentially, in a low-scoring game, you have a 2-goal swing there. The Rangers come within, the puck was in the crease. I guess technically you could say that they came within about a foot or a foot and a half of maybe taking a 1-0 lead there. If that goes in, and we've talked about this in the past, maybe the entire game unfolds differently. Maybe that gets the Rangers going. Maybe the Garden gets rocking a little bit. But obviously that wasn't what happened. You end up with a breakaway for Jack Hughes, which is never a good thing, and he beats Igor Shesterkin. I thought the Rangers also had a ton of problem with their zone entries. It's basically been a 180. The Rangers did such a good job, lining up their guys on the blue line and just making life very, very difficult against the Devils in the first 2 games. And the Rangers, to an extent, did that in this game. The only thing that the Rangers did well in this game was defend. They overall played very, very good team defense here. But yeah, the Rangers themselves, as far as getting the puck over the blue line, it's a challenge right now. And it doesn't help when you're having errant passes left and right. And there were even passes that were accurate, but they'd bounce right off of the tape of somebody's stick, and it would result in a turnover. And I'm watching this, and I'm just like, why can these guys not handle just basic run-of-the-mill normal passes that are hitting them right in the tape? It happened way too often in this game. There were also instances where guys were just over-skating the puck and just having all kinds of problems as far as handling the puck is concerned, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the zone entries because they'd try to carry the puck over, they'd have it knocked away from them, they'd lose control of the puck, they'd get pinned to the boards. Nothing in the center of the ice. There was never a time where the Rangers, attacked the center of the ice where they got into those high-danger scoring opportunities and, took advantage of them with some good shots at the net, which leads me into the next thing that I want to talk about as far as other problems in this game. A lot of low percentage shots, and I mentioned this very briefly a short time ago here. Steve Valiquette talked about this during the second intermission. The Rangers were settling for one-timers, and this coming from me, somebody who usually I'm the person that, I like it when a team throws the puck at the net. I don't want them to try to pass the puck into the net. When all else fails, put the puck at the net. I thought the Rangers did a decent job of that in games 1 and 2, or a good job of that in games 1 and 2. When guys had a chance to shoot, they shot the puck. Even if maybe somebody else was open, it's okay to shoot the puck. In this game, the Rangers shot the puck, but they were shooting from along the boards, just inside the blue line, or they were shooting from the top of the face-off circle and also the outside of the face-off circle, shooting from sharp angles. And again, it's the playoffs. Sometimes just put the puck at the net. I get that to an extent, but there were so many shots that the Rangers took in this game that I honestly think I might have been able to stop them. There's just nothing on the shot. It's from far away. The goalie has a clean look at it. And what do you think is going to happen? Is Schmidt just going to drop the puck out of his glove and it's going to land in the crease and somebody's actually going to get to the front of the net in this game? Not the way this game was going. So yeah, just the shot selection for the Rangers was just really, really off tonight. It wasn't a situation where in game 3 where they passed on good scoring opportunities. In this one, they didn't have any good scoring opportunities. They were trying to shoot the puck from everywhere, which again, for me, a lot of times that's not a bad thing, but they were taking shots that just had no chance of going into the net, and they did it over and over and over again, and there was just no adjustment made. The Rangers have to get back into the high danger scoring opportunities, and it's easier said than done. But this is playoff hockey. You got to just will yourself into those areas of the rink and just make it happen, like they did in the first 2 games. They've just gotten so far away of everything, so far away from everything that gave them a chance to take the 2-0 series lead, which is exactly what they did. And as for Akira Schmid, look, he was really good. Again, he made all the saves when he had to. But this goes back to something else that I talked about. The Rangers made it too easy for him. There just wasn't any traffic. There weren't any deflections. There were no second chances. Even when Schmid would give up a rebound, there was nobody there to get it for the Rangers. The forecheck was basically non-existent. There were times where the puck would be behind the Devils' net, and there'd be like 1 Ranger back there and 3 Devils, and there's no other Rangers even on camera. Like the camera would be obviously on everything happening behind the net, the hard camera, and there's a Ranger back there, maybe 1 Ranger trying to get the puck, and I'm waiting for other Rangers to jump into this play and get back there and provide some help, and it just doesn't happen. The camera stays there, and no Rangers even enter the frame, much less get in there on the forecheck, get behind the net, and fight for the puck. There was just none of that for the Rangers in this game at all, and that's just not going to cut it. You got to outwork this team. The Rangers got outworked in this game, and it's one of the biggest reasons why they lost. And again, Schmid was good. How good is Schmid? Look, I know some Devils fans have been watching a couple of these episodes, and that's all well and good, and, welcome to the show and everything. Congrats on the 2 wins here. But you guys would know better than me how good Akira Schmid is or how good he's not. He had good numbers this year. It sounds like the Devils like him. I feel like it might be a situation where Schmid is the best goalie on that team, and maybe they even knew that, but maybe they also didn't have a reason to really replace Vanacek, because Vanacek had a good season too. There was no real reason for him to lose his starting job until what happened in games 1 and 2 in this series. But Schmid is a good goalie. I think we can probably agree on that. He's played very well in these games. How good is he? I have no idea, because the Rangers just have not made it difficult enough on him, and that was especially true in this game here. That's pretty much it. The only other thing that I wanted to mention was the Rangers started this game with the same line combinations. They switched Mika Zibanejad and Trocheck in the middle of this game, which made absolutely no difference because, as we've very well established here, the Ranger top 6 just had a really rough night, but they eventually did end up going with, they just flip-flopped the 2 centers. You had Mika with Panarin and Tarasenko, and then you had Trocheck centering Kreider and Kane, but that didn't really seem to make much of a difference, and I'll be very curious to see how the Rangers line up in the next one. I didn't want them to change line combinations coming into this game because, again, Rangers scored 10 goals in the first 2 games. The last game, tight defensive struggle. They obviously only scored the 1 goal, but I don't think you reinvent the wheel after just 1 game where you don't get a lot of offense. But now it's 2 straight games where the Rangers have scored a grand total of 2 goals, so it could be time to try something different. And I would think that if they do something different, you'll probably see the same thing that we saw at the end of this game where Mika centers Panarin and Tarasenko, and that trio was very, very good down the stretch. They didn't stay together for that long, but I really liked what I saw from those 3 late in the regular season, so I might give that a shot. And then you also had, at the end of this game, Trocheck with Kreider and Kane, and they might stick with that as well. But we'll see. Look, we're going to find out what this team is made of because the Rangers, they're basically in the same situation now that the Devils were in after the first 2 games of this series. Just 2 rough performances at home. Obviously, the Rangers, when they beat the Devils, the scoring was more lopsided, but it's the same deal. You lose 2 games at home, and then you're going on the road, and it's gut check time. It's 2-2, and I think the best thing you can do if you're the Rangers is just throw this one in the garbage. Just forget about it. Move on. You have a best-of-3 series against your division rival, 2 teams that have gone head-to-head, fierce competition this entire season between these 2 teams. And again, it doesn't matter how you got here. I don't really believe in, the game-to-game momentum carryover that much. And hopefully I'm right about that because the Rangers need to hit the reset button here, get back to basics, and start doing the things that they did in the first 2 games. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I know I kind of went in on these guys a little bit in today's episode, but the reason that I did it is because I know as well as you guys do, the Rangers are so much better than this. They're so much better than this performance here. And to just lay an egg when you're up 2-1, you have a chance to take a stranglehold of this series, go up 3-1, heading back to New Jersey with a chance to close things out, and to play the way they did here, just an inexcusable performance. I don't think there's really any other way to say it. And it's gut check time. The Rangers have been very good responding to adversity last season as well as this season. and they're going to have to do it again. And it's just really as simple as that. So definitely looking forward to Game 5 and seeing how this whole thing shakes out. But that will do it for today, guys. Once again, if you'd like to get in touch with this podcast, please send an email to lockedonnyrangers@gmail.com. Once again, that is lockedonnyrangers@gmail.com. And definitely give us a follow on Twitter as well, at @LO_NY_Rangers. Once again, that is at @LO_NY_Rangers. And definitely subscribe to the Locked On New York Rangers YouTube channel. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time.